So this evening I'm going to talk about student requirements, or rather the requirement for a student visa. If you've been following my videos, I talked about the three main things that you should think about if you're planning to study abroad. The first thing I talked about is time, because I feel like time is really important if you're planning to study abroad. And by that I mean you should plan yourself well in advance before beginning the process. Now you want to network with people, connect to people who are studying here already or people who have studied here and are now working. Why? Because you want to begin with the end in mind. So what are you going to do after your studies or while studying? You want to connect with the right mind, and then you begin your research process. So you're researching, schools where you're going to apply to, the city where you want to live or study, what are the things obtainable there, and so on and so forth. And then the next step would be, okay, if you've thought about all these things, where you want to live, which school you will apply to, what course you will study, you have to think about the visa requirement, because what would happen if you got the admission and there's no visa for you to come to Germany, for instance, or to wherever school you want to go to. I take it that most of the people watching my videos, you might be coming from areas where you would need, or countries where you would need visa to study abroad, most likely. So tonight I will talk about the requirement for a student visa to study in Germany more precisely. If you already have a bachelor's degree and you're coming from a master's degree, it's a lot easier. You most likely would have all the necessary requirements. The things to keep in mind are the following. Generally speaking, at the master's level, you can study in English language. In some cases, it's required that you show proficiency of your English, language, like how good you are in speaking English. That is, of course, if the course of study is in English language, okay? So keep that in mind. And in most of the schools, at least from my personal experience and the way I know from friends of mine, if you come from an English-speaking country, it's very most likely that you would not have to show any proof of your English proficiency. So the first requirement is that the embassy wants to check, okay, did the school require that you show English language proficiency? If the school required that, then you also have to show it at the embassy. It could be that the school says, if you are coming from a country where English is not your first language, or English is not the official language, or English is not a native language there, or you did not undergo your previous education in English language, the school might require that you show proficiency of English. And there are like several tests that you can do, to show that proficiency. So one of them is the IELTS, and then there's TOEFL, and then maybe some others. I did not do any of those, maybe because I'm from Nigeria, but that's actually dependent on the school. So some school, they don't care. They say as long as you're not from the US, the UK, Australia, and maybe one other country, that you have to show that proficiency, regardless of if one of the official languages in your country is English language. Some other schools, they say that, and then they also add, but if your previous education was conducted in English language, or if the language of instruction in your previous education was in English, then there's no need for you to show that proficiency. The point here is this: if the school requires that you show that proficiency, then you also have to show it when you apply for your visa, 100%. The next thing, which is like the most important thing really, is your means of sustenance while studying here. So it's always required that you show at least enough financial means of sustenance for the first year. That's like super important. You can show this proof of means of sustenance in one of three ways. One of them is either through scholarship, sponsorship, and the third one is blocked account. If you're able to secure scholarship from a recognized German institute, a recognized German organization, a recognized European organization. I said recognized because not all scholarship will be accepted, especially if it's coming outside of Germany. And keep in mind that the number of international students coming to Germany keeps increasing. So I can also imagine that the visa requirement will become tighter and tighter. So the first one is scholarship from a recognized institution. Best if it's a German or an European institution, because I think it's a lot easier for them to interact with one another. There are several scholarship boards, some private, some government, and some also from the European Union. The other option is sponsorship. If there's someone living in Germany that is able to tender a letter of sponsorship, say, yes, I will take care of this person. So you basically will sign an undertaking that you will take care of the financial needs of this person. So that can also be accepted as a means of financial sustenance for the first year. The last one is a blocked account. And what that simply means is when you get your admission and you go to apply for a student visa, this is a requirement the embassy will tell you that you have to fulfill. And then when it comes to the blocked account, you're simply opening a bank account in the country where you want to go to, Germany for instance, and the block simply means that you do not have access to the fund in that account until you come to Germany, and then it's going to be unlocked or unblocked, but not fully unblocked, in the sense that you will be given just a particular fixed amount of money every month. In my case, 5 years ago, the amount that you as a student is supposed to deposit in the block account was 8,000 euros. Out of that 8,000 euros, I was allocated 760 euros per month. These 760 euros has been calculated, and they believe, hopefully, if you would live a normal life, it should cover your house rent, your insurance, your transportation, your food, some clothes, maybe shoes, a couple of beers, books, and so on and so forth. Like literally, you need 760 euros to survive per month. Depending on which city you live in, you could actually spend way less than that. In some cases, maybe you would spend more. This depends on your lifestyle. The German embassy in most cases will give you the option to open the block account with them, or rather through them. I think the German embassy works with the Deutsche Bank, and basically they have your name and everything. They send it to the Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank opens their block account for you, sends you the account number via email, and you will deposit that money. And I think how you deposit that money, they don't care about it. They just want to know that that money is in the account. After that, you won't have access to the money from your home country. You only have access to it when you move to Germany. You go to the bank, do some paperwork, and then you get your cards and everything, and you can withdraw up to that fixed amount per month. Currently, the amount is set at 853 euros per month. That means you should be thinking about at least 853 euros times 12. That's 1 year, and that should be about 10,000 euros or so. You can check that in your local currency and then know how much it's equivalent to. So I think, in my opinion, like, those are like the very most important thing that you should really think about before applying for your student visa. I would imagine that if you get the university admission, which is the step before applying for the visa, that of course you should have every other requirement. I'm just mentioning this so to prepare your mind, because the whole thing is about preparing your mind if you're thinking about studying abroad. So before you proceed, be sure that you have really verified this requirement, that yes, you're sure about it, which one you want to go with: scholarship, sponsorship, someone living in Germany, or maybe within the EU. I'm not sure about that, but what I know, usually the person has to be within Germany. Maybe they will accept someone living within the EU, but we can verify that later. And then the last one is the blocked account. And from my knowledge, but more from my knowledge and also from people I know, the blocked account is usually the one which is mostly honored. So if you have the blocked account, then it's like already 90 to 95% sure that you will get a student visa, except you do not perform well at the visa interview. So that's it for tonight, guys. So if you like this video, give me a like. I'd really appreciate that. And if you have some questions, you have any kind of comment, you want to contribute to it, please feel free to do that. I really appreciate your contributions. And thanks to those guys who always share the video. I really appreciate. Stay cool.